Hello, everybody. I am standing here in Eat Art Space, and we are just about to go live with Jason Flack, who's going to talk about his work, which you can clearly see behind me. I'm waving at him and inviting him right now. Then he's coming. Anyway, behind me are some of the pieces. Hey there, bud!
Hey, yeah, finally figured it out.
No, it's all good. Sometimes it just takes a little while to figure out the details of things.
Yeah,
But I'm standing here. You've only seen pictures of this space.
yes,
But um,
beautiful.
while I sort of swing around, will you give us a little background on, your personal history with art making and a little bit of your experience?
Cool, yeah. I'll just start at the beginning. I grew up just being like I guess the classroom illustrator, and I had a downtime period in my life where I really wasn't doing anything with art, and up until my twin sister's passing, I just started being more creative and allowing more creativity to enter my life. I started studying not just other artists that were great, but just ball players, scholars, anyone I felt that were speaking to me that were great. I wanted to see what they were about and what things maybe I had in common with them or them with me. And I'm still on that journey now. So everything I do is very grassroots. I try to exercise new ideas and new approaches and try to make something new every time I go at a canvas or another painting. But you can see that right there is one of my first paintings. I would say that's my third real painting. It was on a 24 by maybe 48 wrap canvas, something I bought from Michael's, and my dad fell in love with that, and I ended up making a painting of our family. Well, his new family, my two sisters, his wife, and him, along with two dogs, in that same style.
Mm.
But that's some of my early work, but you can see where it was kind of going with the bright colors
And
and
then here's the distance between, I think this one is a 2019
yeah,
piece.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That the one above would be like 2015, 16, maybe even 14,
Uh-huh.
maybe even earlier actually. I'm not sure, but you're right. The one below it is 2019. I did that just thinking about the old days at a bar we all used to go to called Halo, and just a mix of I have musicians in my family. My granddaddy was and still is a great drummer. Got a cousin that's a great drummer, and a late family member that was also in a band. So I just want to do something fun. It was a new experimental thing, and you'll see some of those traits and characters that I'm trying to create, sort of Muppet like weirdo characters, a bunch of zigzags and curly cues, just having fun.
Like these guys.
That was one of my first times really doing that. I was reading about it's kind of sad news, but I was reading about gosh, I forgot where it was. It might have been. It's one of the Asian islands, and there was these islander people that were contaminated with radiation, and so
Oh.
I I drew sort of tribal looking people uh, burnt by radiation, and there's one that's actually pregnant on the left. Not the most uplifting, but it was a shot because it was such a contrast of like tribal people. They wouldn't even know what radiation is, and they're affected by it. I don't know. That affected me, and I decided to paint something about it.
So talk a little bit about your technique, maybe because these are all acrylic, correct?
Yes. Oh yeah.
And you choose you had a pretty good explanation as to like why you happen to choose bright colors and also
Yeah.
and the contradiction between that and some of the things that you feature in your work.
Yeah. I try to stick with. It's almost like I don't really know what I'm doing. I just make it up as I go. But I almost paint myself out of sorrow. As pitiful as that may sound, I try to paint happiness, and even in just like you heard about the red people there, and
Hmm.
in this is about politicians I don't trust, and so they're either speaking for them or eating them. You can just interpret that either way, but I try to use bright colors because I was heavily influenced anyway by the late artist Keith Haring.
Yes.
I think that's an artist that people know but really don't know the name. They know his work. But his art spoke to me because it's a simplistic style, but it says so much, even if there's no dialogue or text in his work. And I thought, well, I could run with that. I like bright colors, and I like having it surrounded by black, bold lines. It represents strength, but it's also contained. And so just sort of being naive, even still approaching art, I just kind of make it up and surround it with something I know, like illustration, and try to combine it with painting something lively. I want everything, even a sorrowful, even topical stuff that's sort of on the negative or a down topic, so to speak. I want it to look uplifting, eye-catching.
So there's this one painting that you have called Party Till Heaven Opens.
Yes.
Is there more behind this than just the sort of happy party title? Or actually, is this sort of just...
It's really simple. This was a time where I was still experimenting. You can see some of those characters kind of resemble. They have big teeth and longer limbs and just weird, I don't know. I start making shapes into sort of humanoid, I guess, characters, and then I just encase them. I call it the exoskeleton. When I start doing that, that's when I'm really having fun.
I like this constellation sort of, or some kind of robot detail type thing.
Yeah, right. I'm a big fan of like sci-fi blockhead robots. So you'll see a lot of, you'll see a lot of like screw looking bolts and lines and layers or whatever. And but yeah, just any randomness, it just fits. And I just kind of there's really not much to say other than I just kind of go with mistakes, and then I have fun encasing them with the black lines. I think that contrast and both of those together, kind of go well. At least I'm trying. Hey Matt, what up? What up, Matt?
Now I've noticed that you've got a lot of color layering going on in a lot of your pieces, and I'm just going to quickly gloss over some of these where you've got a contrast between green and red going on.
Yeah.
And these are more separated into the green people in the foreground and the stage in the background, which is appropriate to the subject matter. But then in a piece like this, you've got a lot of colors sort of interacting with each other. And I feel like this is a pair with the other piece on the opposite end of the wall that I'm going to walk over to again.
Okay.
When Will I Get Easier?
Yes.
That I'm totally obsessed with because
thank you.
There's you have both the simplicity in your pieces. I mean, I'm going to go up to the Frida just above you that has a very clear background.
Yeah.
And then this one is just raging with complexity.
Yeah. And I can't give any credit to myself other than I obviously made the painting happen. But as I sort of added in my introduction, I studied masters. Chi-Chi, don't bark. Sorry if you hear my dogs bark. Excuse me.
It's all a part of pandemic life.
It's but no, I dive into artists that speak to me, and I go almost obsessively down the journey of their life from beginning, sometimes even to end, or where they're currently at now. And this, if you can look at it, and then you can compare a great Jean-Michel Basquiat. I mean, it's definitely influenced heavily by him. I think that I'm in love with that that movement that happened in Manhattan. Anybody that knows me knows I talk about this a lot. I feel like Johnson City could have that from 75 to 91, early 90s. Basquiat was in that. He died of a heroin overdose along with his friend, another artist I mentioned, Keith Haring. They were mentored by Andy Warhol. But that Easy Year was me basically kind of pleading my case, breaking chains, being laughed at, making $1 at a show. But it was all that, and Rage Field was right. But it was all coming out of my mind into the painting and staying there, really. So it was my way to get that out.
Yeah. Well, and of course, if we can shift to some of maybe your more difficult works that are sadly not for sale, because I think some people would snap them up.
Not yet. Yeah.
Well, I know these pieces I wanted to mention are going to be in a show. Is it the what's
Black
the title
Diaspora.
again? The Black Diaspora.
Yeah,
and
I think it's don't quote me on the dates, but it's it starts very soon, August. I think 14th or 16th on through October and November. I mean, it's just check.
Okay, so it's coming up. It's coming up real fast.
Right,
and
it's a major accomplishment for me. Yeah.
Is it on, so it's on campus at ETSU, right? Locally?
Slocum
Okay.
and it'll be Slocum and Tipton. I think I'm submitting 4 pieces. One's a
Okay.
real giant piece, but I think they're going to be divided or all used. As a street artist who's don't have the academic credentials, I had to flunk out of school to make it to ETSU, and I'm very proud of that. I'm absolutely
Okay.
proud of that.
Well, so here's your piece.
Yes,
Give,
the lynching of the American Negro.
tell us about the origins of this piece.
Okay, yeah. Online they're trying to censor history because I'm not a big believer on not showing these images. And online I had to look up some images. I already had these images in my mind. I've seen them since I was little, but they're starting to censor and blur out. If you pay attention on Google Images, they're blurring things out, and I don't agree with that. As bad as it is to see these events, they are actual events. And I just made it colorful because all the images you see are in black and white, and it's like an amalgamation of a certain evil that you see in the images. But I wanted to show like impending doom in the background with the red kind of fog in the forest. You and I talked earlier a couple of days ago about a comment that was made about this is hate, and I would reply to that person that said that. I would say absolutely this is hate, and this is me visualizing what was and what you need to learn from it. Because if you don't see it and you don't believe it, or both, then we're doomed to repeat it. And sadly, 3,000 plus black Americans were lynched for the silliest reasons like passing a note, and they're still being lynched to this day. So
Can you
everybody's
talk a little bit about your personal background on history as it relates to that image? Because I think that
absolutely
that connection is incredibly fascinating and it adds a depth to this piece.
right. And the three that you have, I do have personal stories. I have a distant relative, of course, that is um, way before my time and dead and gone, but he's dead because of either winking or whistling to a white lady at a general store. Now that's a unique story if I'm surrounded by my white brothers and sisters. That's a unique story, but it's not a unique story when you trace back your history if you happen to be a person of color, in particular a person that has slavery in their family tree.
Well, that transitions pretty nicely to this other
Yeah.
large piece that we have, which is
Yes.
on the other side of the wall. They're facing each other, so
Ah.
the lynching is on
All
this
right.
side.
Okay. Great.
And then this is the big one. I mean, this
Yeah.
one is, this for folks who are at home, this is about 24 inches
Pretty big,
high
yes.
and 36 inches across. This is
Yes.
very large, so you do
Yeah.
have to get up super close to see.
Right. Please do. Yeah.
Okay.
This is another one. This was I work down the hall from a chaplain, and I saw a physical reaction he had to this painting, which is mixed media. Those are paper cutouts that I drew. I drew like, I don't know, there might be 20 different kind. I'm obsessive. Once I go and then I print out and blah blah blah. Not to give all my art secrets around, but I wanted to show like some of us that are living in the States right now. This is where our family began. Now just think about that for a minute. So some of our family were cramped up and by the way, some of the women that are pregnant in there would not have those babies.
Mm-hmm.
They would
well, it's too stressful a journey. Or
they did things like even suffocate their own if they
Mm-hmm.
weren't killed anyway for making too much noise. They pitched them overboard and then tried to attempt to jump overboard too, or jumped overboard with their babies. They were sometimes even carved out, as bad as that said. So anyway, I just wanted to show that whenever we talk about quarantine and how difficult it is to be together, think about that journey that you've never been on water before in your life. You don't even know these people that were either with you at the beginning or not, and you're captured. And one thing I couldn't make it work, was that they're all shackled together.
Oh,
And,
well, I would I'm going to bring it back to your technique and talk a little bit about how
okay.
interesting it is that because I didn't realize, I had only seen this painting digitally before you brought it
Yes.
over to the gallery.
Right.
And I didn't realize that they were paper cutouts until I was like up close,
Yeah.
Putting it against the wall. And I thought, well, that's interesting that like they've been transformed into these little paper dolls,
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
an object to be manipulated.
Yeah.
So
And
that adds a certain element to it that I think is reinforcing
True.
your
And I have
provocative ideas.
actually extra that I was going to plan to put them even more cramped. It just wouldn't work artistic. They were kind of overlapping, and I didn't want to, I guess, hide any of the detail that I had. But I actually had plans to make them just overlap completely. But instead, I thought it would be a better decision just to have some space in between
Well,
them.
even this level of density is arresting.
Yes.
So
yes.
here is the last piece that I would love for you to talk about. I've got a little bit of glare from the chandelier here because the storms have made things dark.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I don't have magical track lighting.
That's
But,
okay. We get it.
Yes, Katie says Slave Ship is an
Thank you,
amazing
Katie.
piece.
Yeah,
Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Hoffman. She gets mad when I call her Doctor.
Dr. Hoffman.
Yeah. Right.
So is this a personal story here that you know of somebody in your family who was a nanny?
I know of close. My great grandmother is 91. Her name is Miss Brady, Carolyn Brady. She goes by the nickname Lib, L-I-B. I have it tattooed on me among
I'm going to
the
zoom in
many
on
I
this
have.
face here. You can see it through the glass.
My great grandmother should have a statue in Johnson City. They should have a bronze statue made out of her. Thank you, Lenny. She drove the bus for 38 years. She's one of the first African American women to be hired by the city to work with kids. She also delivered children in the hospital and the med center.
So she was a midwife?
She was a midwife. She also came home and took care of every single kid. She takes care of an 8-year-old right now at 91. She is a hero.
Gosh.
And so when my sister passed away, I got closer with her. She would come by, and then of course she got older and couldn't drive and see quite well. So I would go back to her house and visit her. And her and I developed even thicker relationship. We were always close. She was like a second and third mom. My sister being second, my mom being first. And we got even closer. And she told me despicable stories about taking care of a white family, and the babies would grow up calling her the N-word. And then she would, see them out in the streets or something, and they would either say it again or say hi or sorry. But just the stories that she had about cleaning, because she wasn't necessarily a maid, but she was a housekeeper. That was a very popular job for, of course, anybody, but really in particular Black women. And you would raise your young daughter to be that too. And you would see and get confronted by the man when he came home if something wasn't done to his liking. She told me very vivid stories about her being cornered by the husband. You can imagine how terrifying that is, because it's your story against someone else's in the 40s and 50s. So imagine how terrifying.
Yeah, you just had no idea.
Yeah, and that's not what she looks like. That's the image I came up with. I did some research and I got some different facial, I guess, expressions, and I wanted to show.
It's really striking. It's a really striking face. I wish I could back up enough to show both of them well.
Right, but you see both being stern but tired.
Yeah, they're both exhausted. They're both just like done.
Right. Well, you have both sides representing innocence. One just happens to be a child that can't work and is defenseless, and the other one is working and isn't defenseless but is defenseless. You get what I'm at that time. So they both are in the same boat.
There's a lot of depth here. And before, obviously, we don't have a ton of time before I have to hop on and do a virtual tour on Facebook.
Right.
So I wanted to make sure that we hit on the two pieces that are in the center of the room.
Okay.
Because here, I didn't have room on the walls for the cat. So
that's a good thing.
I made a little home for the calico cat piece here. And I especially wanted to show it if Dr. Hoffman is on the line, because this one is now hers.
Oh, right on.
So,
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And then I'm going to swing around over here to see. I feel like this is, the Sauron eye overseeing the local food. It's pretty fun.
Right.
And
hey, Dee. What's up, Dee?
That one also has a home. See, that one has a home.
Yes, and I just talked to Jeremy. He just reached out to me on Instagram.
Oh,
that's wonderful. Yeah,
wonderful.
I thought that was great. Yeah. Yeah.
So very briefly, the lovely folks at Boone Street Market donated tomatoes, which is like the theme. They totally match your piece. The,
Right.
the August tomatoes from Squibb Farm and Trossley Farm donated some zucchini and squash. And I've got some honey from Purple Valley Farm and apples from, that's my cat, says
A
Katie.
cat, yeah.
That's Buffalo Trail Farm. And then this is I've had Telos Coffee Roasters. Have you had them at all?
I have not.
These guys are great. These guys are great. And I love that they've got they tell you what it tastes like, and they tell you exactly where it comes from.
And where it's at. Yeah, that's what's up.
And where it's at. So there's the food. Here's the speed round for you. If you will indulge me.
Absolutely.
With your art in the background here.
Yes, absolutely.
So I would love to hear what your favorite local beverage and eatery. Well, I mean, it doesn't have to be like local beverage, but maybe place to obtain a local beverage.
Okay.
Favorite beverage and favorite eatery around town.
It's a new place, a relatively new place, but it's got to be Go Burrito.
Ah, yeah.
I like Go Burrito. I still like Italian Pizza Pub over there on University or Walnut.
That's a pretty classic place.
Yeah. I'm like I said, I'm very local. And if I said I'm not a big drinker. I do have a beer every now and then, but I still say Dr. Enough. And maybe that coffee if I try it.
Yeah.
But I do have to show love. It really is my favorite drink. I can take a walk and do one of those MTV Crib, show my refrigerator moments, and you can see all the Dr.
Someone else is plugging Korean Taco House.
Korean Taco. D is right. I'm glad he's here. That's my cousin / best friend right there. He is exactly right. I forgot about Korean Taco. That's right. Shout out to Korean Taco.
Yes.
Yeah.
Last thing is, who would you like to thank?
I gotta thank you.
But no, you move on.
No, I'll thank you, and then I'll definitely thank you after, of course. But yeah, honestly, thank you, and also too, what a success to land on the front page. That's a cool thing. Surprised, and I thought you might have known before me. I'm such a Luddite neophyte.
Nope. Had no idea.
But I would thank Jeremy. I think Kate Hoffman. Anyone purchased whoever purchased another one or whatever in the future. I go back to just thanking anybody that's viewing this right now too. I know most of the people, I believe, and all this is something that will accumulate in the archives. I do believe.
Yeah, I'm hoping to, and shout out to anybody who's out there who would like to have a show.
Yeah.
You can just reach out because I'm here. We're pandemic life. I'm not going anywhere.
That's right. Yeah. It is. I think I said something similar in the article, but it's cool. It's such an inviting thing, and it's a big step. You're letting my work in your home, me earlier to deliver the work in your home, and seeing your lovely house and family. And it's such a contrast to what we talked about earlier. And my art looks way better on your walls than it does either on the floor wrapped up.
Mine's all under my bed, so yeah, it's an improvement to put it on the wall.
I can't hang them on the Christmas tree. That's the only reason I don't have them on there. No,
all of the works here are available for sale. There's a link on the Eat Art Space website, and the only pieces that are not available are the ones that are reserved for the show, right? For the later show.
Slave Galley, Black Nanny, and
yeah.
Yeah.
But who knows? Maybe later.
Yeah, maybe after the show in September or October, whenever it ends, maybe just come talk to me.
Yeah, and if anybody wants to reach out to Jason personally to commission something or to purchase something later, just go ahead and do that. But in the meantime...
Yeah, I'm working on something real big here soon, so just stay tuned.
No, it'll be awesome. So go follow Jason on his Instagram account. You can find him in through the power of the internet. And I'm going to go hop on Facebook and give everybody a tour there.
Thank you, Jocelyn.
Thank you, Jason. We'll say goodnight. Oh, better person and neighbor. People are just gushing about you. It's awesome. Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. See you.